Rolling. Action.
Welcome. We are here with our student athlete star panel. My name is Misty Bright, and this is...
I'm Mo Hassan, and with me is...
Nick Savage.
All of our students over here are college athletes or have already successfully completed college, and they're here to share some of their expertise and learnings with us. You can go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Shane Savage. I played wide receiver for Cornell University and the University of Richmond.
Thank you.
Javon Smith, played running back at the University of Richmond as well.
I'm Amira Abaina. I did triple jump at Coastal Carolina.
I'm Deontay Yarborough, and I run track at East Carolina University.
I'm Deron Coley, and I run track at Clemson University.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here today on this panel. The whole idea of getting an opportunity to sit down with you is to really learn from you and to have the young people that are out there, the young athletes that are looking at what's next for them, what can you teach them to make their life a little bit easier? And so to start us off here, we've got our senior coach, I was going to say our old coach, but our senior coach in the room here. And really, why don't you start us off, Coach Nick? What's something that you want these awesome athletes to share?
How hard is it to play and have the aspiration to play at a Division I level, since everyone on this panel played at a Division I level?
I'll start off. You have to know what you want to do, what your goals are, what you set for yourself, and you talk to your coach. And you have to know that you're going to have to make sacrifices, because a lot of the normal students, NARPs, I don't know what you guys are. Non-athletic regular people. They're going to go out and they're going to party and have fun, and you got to understand that you're not going to be able to do that, because one, you need that sleep, and two, if you're putting something into you you're not going to get a benefit out of it when it comes time for practice. So you just got to know you're going to make sacrifices.
Piggybacking off what he says, don't let him scare you. You can party a little. You can do other stuff, but you're signing your life away. You're getting paid to play a sport, to represent the school. In reality, that's what it is. As soon as you sign those papers, the coach, your lives are the coaches. So, I mean, it's hard work and it's dedication, so you have to want it, and you have to put the time into it.
Going off of what she said, being able to sign your life away is pretty much what you're going in there with. And in my case, I was more or less a late bloomer, I would say, in terms of my work ethic. And I came in there, obviously was able to get by on my athletic ability, but understanding really how much work you have to put in to get to the level you want to is really what you have to realize, because obviously you can rely on your talent and get to a certain level and go through college, be a good athlete, make some awards, but if you want to be the standout athlete on and off the field and obviously go on to athletics after college, then you have to understand what level of work ethic you want to put in and obviously take away time from parties and stuff like that. So it's really just what you want to get out of your experience.
I'd say the hardest thing is you're an athlete, so physically you're going to be broken down, but there's also the mental aspect. You got morning workouts, plus you have your afternoon workouts, so you got 2 days. For us, my freshman year, I didn't know how hard being a student athlete would be until we're waking up at 6 o'clock, running 300s, 400s, 500s, going to class all day. You might be able to squeeze in a nap, maybe a lunch, and then you got at 3 o'clock actual lifting, or 5 o'clock lifting, and then you're repeating that. You got study hall. I don't know how the freshmen at other universities do it. We have to have 2 hours every day from Sunday to Thursday. So Sunday you got study hall. Freshman year we had 8 to 10 o'clock. Then you're not going to bed until 11:30, 12, and then they get up to run for 6 o'clock practice. After 2 months of doing that, I was ready to quit. I'll tell you, I was ready to quit. I'm sitting here this is not, I'm listening to other universities. I'm like, why are they not struggling like I'm struggling? But the mental aspect, I say, the hardest is to overcome and to know what you're striving for, your goals and everything. Putting in that work to get through it mentally, I think, is the mental aspect is the hardest part about it.
So I was an econ major when I was at Cornell, and one concept really shaped how I viewed work in the corporate world, work when I was an athlete, and that concept was opportunity cost. And opportunity cost is, what could you be doing? Right now I'm sitting on the stage. What else could I be doing right now that has higher or equal value, right? So as an athlete, you always need to be honest and real with yourself on what your opportunity cost is for that very moment. Because when you start going up these levels right now, high school, college, the athletes that I've seen that don't make it to the next level of success are the ones that are surprised that there are people better than them. And at every stage, you're going to experience that. And the athletes that had the mentality of opportunity cost when they were younger are the ones that thrive when they get to the next level.
Yeah, and what Alfie said, like, we're in like North Carolina, South Carolina, so it's a little hotter down there. And I'm just gonna let you guys know the first month you gave it to, I was crying, it was sweat and tears. Literally sweat. I had never cried in a sport. I had never cried to my mom about how hard anything was, and it was literally sweat and tears. I was like dragging myself off the track, asking myself every day, why am I doing this? Why did I even sign the paper? I was like, I am not for this. But it gets easier. It does get easier. We didn't mention that. It gets easier. You learn yourself, and you learn the system, so it does get easier.
Thank you. So I can see that the struggle is real. So Shane, you were talking about opportunity cost. I want to circle back to that. We just talked about the struggle and the discipline and what it really takes. What has been the payoff in choosing to make it through that struggle? What's your return on this investment?
Well, for me, with the opportunity cost, if I were to look back on my 4 years playing at Cornell, my freshman and sophomore year, I would say I got the most sleep out of those years. Those were the years where I probably performed at my lesser ability, or I did not reach my potential of what I wanted to on the field. Going into my junior year, I probably averaged about 4 or 5 hours of sleep. And that's between school, staying involved, a few parties in there, and hitting the weight room more than I was scheduled, and that same mentality of opportunity costs. You have to, with again, a lot of athletes, with what I find, is they lie to themselves on what they've earned or what they deserve. And if you constantly have this mentality of, I have not earned this, and I do not deserve this yet, then you will constantly get out of bed when you're not ready, when you have to get up at 6 a.m. and go to the weight room before class. And you go to the study halls, you try to excel in all aspects of those areas in life that you're trying to succeed. So with my personal one, where I had 4 hours of sleep, that was my All-American year on the football field. And even though I was tired, I was broken, I came out of knee surgeries, if you will, that's when you find yourself and what you're capable of.
Specifically for myself, I ended up having a career-ending injury called spinal stenosis. I don't know if anybody followed Peyton Manning's career, but he had a similar case where it's the narrowing of the spinal column. And I had to train for a year, not knowing whether or not I'd be able to play again, touching the field. So I went through a year pretty much working without the light at the end of the tunnel. And that year alone has taught me enough that's going to translate into the job career. I'm able to excel past colleagues in my mind just because of the attention to detail, the work ethic, and being able to go through that instance in life and come out on top in a certain way that I'm still confident in myself. Has done stuff in me in terms of the work world that can't be related in terms of numbers or the amount of time that I put into the sport.
Yeah, like they said, the opportunities that I gained from it. I met a lot of great people. That's the number one thing, what I experienced. And just overall found out who I was at the end. Because I wanted to quit. I was like, I am not doing this. But then, like, being the athlete that I am, I'm like, I'm not going to quit. I'm just going to push through it, keep going. And you win championships, you win conferences. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, all the pain was for nothing. So you build that, and then like at the end of my career, I got to be able to coach high school. So if you got to get over the mountain before you see the highlights. So just keep pushing.
So talking about the opportunity cost, so definitely when I was like you guys' age, like coming through high school, like everybody knows that their junior year is like the most important year for recruiting for pretty much all sports. And I was into the summer part of my junior year, so like it was coming to an end. And like meet after meet, I was not hitting the times that I knew I had in me. And I was getting frustrated, like me and my dad, we would go down to North Carolina, come back, I wouldn't hit my time. Go back down to North Carolina, come back, and wouldn't hit my time. And I came down to, I had Junior Olympics, was my last meet. And I ended up PRing because my dad just kept speaking into me like, you know, you got it. And it wasn't as fast as I wanted to go, but that was the race that got me into Clemson. But if I hadn't gone through all of that struggle, I wouldn't have gone to Clemson. I wouldn't have been able to like get my mind right for that last race, because I mean, as cliche as it sounds, like that last race did get me into Clemson because I was able to send the video up to the coach and he's like, I like what I see. So that's kind of my story for opportunity.
Excellent, thank you. So I just want to get to another very important topic, which is, you know, you've all had success in the sport that you played, and nowadays there's more distractions than ever on where a young athlete can go, right? There's so many different sports to play. How did you pick your sport?
I was always the fastest kid. And I played like all sports. I played soccer, basketball, football. I played all the sports growing up, and I was always the fastest kid. And my dad actually ran track at the Air Force Academy, and I just wanted to try it out, kind of be like Dad. And I started working with Coach Nick when I was in the 6th grade, and I ended up slowly but surely just kind of cutting off other sports, and I was like, this is what I want to do.
Growing up, so all throughout elementary and most of middle school, I played football in the fall, went straight into basketball, and then in the spring I played lacrosse and baseball. And then, you know, when you play AAU basketball, that takes up half a year, so I had to stop the spring sports. And then I actually was referred to Coach Savage during Little League football. One of my teammates, I guess, trained with him, and so I did that I ran track basically just to stay in shape and get fast for football. So then when I got to high school, the same thing. The mindset was, I gotta go to college, I gotta play college football. And then once junior year hit, you know, the most important year, like Duran said, that was my best year of football. I was All-American, or no, All-American, wow. All-state football, wide receiver. And I also went to the Junior Olympics and took 3rd. And so at that point, you know, my coach, he kept asking me, like, you still want to be recruited for football? And they used to joke on me, like, he's a football player who runs track. But, you know, when the individuality of track hit me, and I love the individual success that came with the sport, I really began to love track. And so senior year was more, yeah, I was a football player who just ran track. I never trained for football, I just went out there and just did it because, you know, I was always the fastest one out there. Give me the ball, I'm gone, basically. And I love the individual, you know, reward that comes from track. You learn so much. Well, I learned so much about myself when it came to track. So really, track chose me at the end of the day. But you know, no regrets. I love it. Love the sport.
Well, their stories are a little more dedicated than I was. I was a basketball player. I did basketball. Basketball was it. That was for me. Got stalked for track sophomore year. Every time I turned a corner, the track coach was like, come out, come out. And I was like, no, I'm playing basketball. Like, what is track? And finally agreed after like half a year of him stalking me. The reason why I got recruited to high jump, I had a 31-inch vertical in high school for a girl. That's actually pretty good. And I was just like, track and field, like I don't like it. So as time progressed on, I was like, oh, basketball, track every once in a while. I liked it for the social scene, really. You get to talk to people, you get to meet people. So I did AAU basketball, of course, but it was more social than I expected. So I was like, ooh, track and field. So I started like getting into it, and then I gave up all my basketball scholarships senior year. I was like, don't contact me. I don't want to play basketball. And then I just did track, and then like I didn't want to do a sport in college, so I was going to go to Nova, and then I had an intervention. It was like, you need to play a sport, so you need to pick one, basketball or track. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to do track. So I did that, and then boom, this is where I was at.
In my case, I kind of let the sport choose me, and that was mainly just off of my own parental guidance and just the way sports ended up going for myself. Basketball was my first love. I loved basketball growing up, wanted to go play basketball in college, but ultimately found out, I wasn't going to be 6'7" and jumping out the roof, but I did know I had a good body type that would be good for football, so I started to pursue that very vigorously in high school. I think it was sophomore year I stopped playing basketball, and for the next 3 years I was focusing strictly on football. And I think it was sophomore year I wasn't getting much looks. Junior year I wasn't getting much looks at all. But then, once got turned into the senior year, I ultimately got some looks from the University of Richmond and decided to go there. But that goes on to show you, you don't need to stack your chips all in one basket. Obviously, the path is a long one, and just as long as you keep pursuing forward, some opportunities will arise for you.
I would say my path is very similar to Javon's. I would say the sport that I'm the best at is soccer. Had no fun with it growing up. Could not stand it once I got to a certain age. So soccer was not it for me. The sport that I love is basketball. And as a 5'10" wannabe point guard, that was not looking like a great path if I wanted to go to the next level. So slot receiver it was. And, the passion and the love of the game evolves, I think with a lot of us as you become better at it. But that was the path that opened up for me and opened the doors to the collegiate level.
Okay, so since we're actually here kind of live, come on up, Wallo. You take that, we'll put you in the slot next to, will you sit over there? I'm sorry, Devon. Huh? I don't see you running over there. Just keep it rolling, Robert. Okay. You would reiterate this?
So far, we can actually let you do a recap of your own with everything we've talked about so far. So I'll have you introduce yourself, which school you played for in your sport. We talked a little bit about the struggle of being a college athlete, what it is that you give up, but also the return on that investment. And we were just talking about how you actually chose your sport. Let me know if you get lost.
My name is Devon Brown, and I actually went to college. I went to Wake Forest undergrad, and there's a new graduate transfer rule that you can do, so I actually went and played my 5th year in the grad school at West Virginia.
Yeah, what was it about college athletics that made your college experience different? What were some of the struggles that you experienced?
Well, what made my experiences different and the struggles was I went here. I went to Oconto with Shane my first 3 years. I transferred into Stonebridge my senior year. Kind of what Javon was saying. I didn't have many looks or anything like that. In school, I felt like I definitely had the talent to play college ball, but I didn't have the look, so thought that coming here would give me a better opportunity to go to college. So came here my senior year, got the scholarships that I wanted, went to Wake Forest. And there, to go from here, probably the premier school, and definitely the premier school in Loudoun County, being the best player on the team, to go to college to being just another player, that was kind of a hard adjustment. You're not playing football, you're practicing every day, but you realize that you aren't as good as you think you are when you get to college. So you might be the best player on your team, maybe even in your state, but everyone when you go to college, they were that as well. So adjusting to that and realizing, okay, I'm not as good as I think, it humbles you. So it makes you do something to stand out, whether it's, for me, whether it was going and watching more film, lifting more weights, spending more time getting reps with quarterbacks, whatever it may be. So that was a struggle for me at first, that and as well as being away from home. I'd never been away from my grandma for more than like 3 days ever. So I was extremely homesick, and it was a hard adjustment there. And kind of similar to Joe Vaughn was saying as well, kind of how I chose football. I was a basketball first guy growing up. Honestly, my entire life, I didn't even think I was that good at football. I just played just because I just wanted to stay in shape for basketball. But like these two guys, I'm not big. So for me going and playing D1 basketball, that probably wasn't it. But like I said, I went to O'Connell first, and actually I played basketball and football there. Pretty good at basketball, weren't good at all in football. But the basketball coach was like, hey, you need to pick. Do you want to play basketball or football? And he probably thought that I was going to say basketball because we were great at basketball and football we weren't. But I was like, all right, well, the football coach is the reason I'm here. So I kind of felt loyalty to him. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to play football then. He was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He didn't expect it. He was like, I'll give you a couple days to think about it and then come back and let me know. A couple days later, I had the same answer, like, this is where my loyalty lies, and this is kind of what it is. So that's kind of how I picked football to play, because the only two sports I played growing up were basketball and football, and so it kind of made it a lot easier picking football over basketball.
Great. And what would you say your biggest win from participating in college sports has been for you?
My biggest win, I would say, the relationships, really, the connections. I guess there were two. That is very big, like the camaraderie of the locker room, the relationships that you build, the long-lasting friendships, but as well as education. I was able to go to prestigious university, top 25 school for undergrad, and football also carried me to grad school as well, so I never paid a penny of my own money. So the education and as well as just the relationships that you build and make throughout college.
Awesome, free education. Thank you.
Here's a question. What you as student athletes and stars, what would you tell the younger version of yourself today that would help those guys, or say you're 12 to 16-year-old, what would you tell your younger version of you today to give advice on how to move forward to get to where you are now?
For me, kind of what I was saying before, you're not as good as you think you are. Just being honest, you're not as good as you think you are. There are 1,000 yous out there, 10,000 more that are even better than you. For me, like I said, I didn't think I was that good at football. And once I was never a trash talker, really. If you hear me now, you wouldn't believe it, but I never said anything. It wasn't until my freshman year of college that they literally used to come in the locker room, like the older guys, the leaders of the team used to pick on me. And they used to be like, you don't talk to anybody, you don't do anything, you come in here, you leave right after practice, like, you don't do anything. So they was like, we're gonna start messing with you until you start talking trash. And that right there, that got me to start talking trash a little bit, and that, from there was no looking back. But, and from that point on, for me, it was like, all right, I felt like I needed to do that. And it did build confidence in me and all that. But once, also in college, like, just being honest, I got complacent. I worked hard up until I felt like I had reached a level that I couldn't be touched. Wake Forest, just being honest, I was the best player on the team. I didn't lift a lot of weights. I didn't do a lot of the stuff that I should have been doing. I wasn't disciplined, and I got complacent, thinking, I'm the best player on the team, I'm going to go to the league, I'm going to do this. Whatever these strength coaches, they're trying to make me lift, I'm going to go to the training room, I'm going to do this. You're not as good as you think you are, and your dreams can be taken away from you in a split second. So never get complacent. You don't ever be content with being just good. Like, continue to work hard and progress at whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's sports, whether it's work, whatever it is. Like, continue. You can always be better. You're never at the top of anything. You're never too good to get better. So just don't get complacent in whatever it is that you're doing in life in general. So just continue to work hard at whatever it is that you want to achieve, and don't get complacent.
Excellent, great advice. Don't get complacent. Keep learning, keep growing, keep working hard. Shane, how about for you? Advice for your younger self?
Yeah, I would say, building off what Devon said, is time is relative to every person, and going off what Coach Savage always says growing up, to me, is your busier is not busier than my busy. And, it's easy to, in today's age when there's technology, Snapchat, you're going out, you're trying to keep a social life, you gotta be cool, you gotta get the new kicks, you gotta do all these things. I got a 2-hour workout in today. I'm good, I'm ready. or is it? You know, to build off what Jamal was saying is there's somebody else out there working 4 hours. There's someone else out there, cutting in the sugarcane fields in Belle Glade, where I'm living right now. You know, someone is working harder, and someone has a different situation than you that's pushing them to a further steps closer to their potential. And if you are, again, real with yourself on how you are allocating your time, then you can push yourself. You know, if you're constantly trying to make excuses for, but there's this party, I gotta go out. Well, when you go out to that party that night, it messes up your morning for the next day as well. And then you gotta sleep in, and then you're not thinking about a workout, and then you didn't eat, and then everything builds on everything. So being accountable to yourself, everyone in today's day and age is trying to get it on camera. It's easy to get on camera. What are you doing when the record button is not on? And that's where you really find out, when you look back in hindsight, did I do everything I could to make it to the pro level, to make it to college, to be the starter on my high school team?
Wow, great advice, Shane, to be authentic to yourself, or to be true and check in. Hey, am I really doing the thing, or am I just pretending to do the thing, hoping for those results? So awesome, thank you. Jamal?
I would go off a combination of both of what they said. Definitely as far as being able to know what you're doing within yourself and put it into a time portion. And obviously understanding you're not going to be the best person out there on the field when you're going out there. And realizing what type of dedication you want to put earlier on in your career. Obviously, if you start as a junior or senior in high school and you start to try to increase your sports ability on the field highly, then you're more of a late bloomer versus you're starting in middle school when you're young like you guys are now. Having that type of dedication and really setting your mental state earlier on is a lot better. Obviously, the physical stuff will come as you grow and going to workouts, practice and stuff like that, but understanding the mental aspect of where you want to go in life, what type of work ethic you need to have in order to get there is really what you need to do.
Oh, that was fantastic. And so really knowing and declaring early on that this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do, is useful, right? Because then you don't have to worry about starting late. Do you think that applies no matter what sport you play?
I feel like it applies not only to sports, but what you want to do in life. I feel like even with academics, if I applied myself more vigorously when I was in middle school, reading more books and stuff like that, and obviously I'd be at a different stage than I am now. And then obviously with sports, if you're lifting and going through more education off or on the field, then you're going to push yourself in a better advantageous. Sorry, too early in the morning. Advantageous way on the field.
Excellent, thank you. And Amira?
Yes, going off what they said, being true to yourself, but for me, it was probably take things more seriously. Coaches told me all the time I had the talent to be great. I didn't believe them. I was just like, I'm just doing this to stay out of trouble. I didn't really realize it till my junior year of college that I was like, oh wow, I actually do have the talent. By that time, it's a little too late. So yeah, tell myself, take things more seriously. I'm a little too free-spirited for my own good, which is not good in this day and time. So, yeah.
All right, so you're telling a younger version of yourself to take it seriously. And I remember being young, and nothing really seemed serious, right? So what could you tell someone? Like, why is it important to take that seriously at such a young age?
For the goals that you're trying to reach, and I know a lot of you are trying to reach goals to go to college, play a sport in college, that you want to exploit every aspect of your talent. You want to know what you're good at. You want to know what you can become as a person. If I would have did that, I probably could have saw more of my talents. But of course, I'm not going to dwell on the past, and I'm just going to build from what I learned now because it molded me to the person who I am today. So, of course, I'm like, yeah, I should have did this, but at the end of the day, it's who I am now, so.
Lots of great lessons learned. And Deontay, how about for you?
I would agree with everybody here, what they said so far. For me, the biggest thing I would tell my younger self is put as much effort in the books than you do in your sport. I'm still telling myself that today. Like, this is my 4th year in college, and I'm still not registering what that means, but and I say it every semester. This is the semester I'm changing, but to me, it's the mindset. It's changing your mindset, because at the end of the day, you can do anything you put your mind to. As cliche as it sounds, it's true. With track, they sit down here, there's other people that are better than you, but it's like Coach Salvador says, why not you? So it's like in the books for me, why can't I make the dean's list or make honorable? I can do it. I've shown myself I can do it. When they tell you you're 0.1 away from being uneligible, and then it's like all of a sudden it clicks, and then I stay eligible because my season's on the line, my future's on the line or whatever. But the biggest thing I would tell myself is take school serious, especially in high school. I just got by. Freshman year was not hot for me. Sophomore year was okay. Junior year was in. Senior year it didn't click until the last semester of the year, when I had no offers. Well, I had offers, but not the best ones, because my GPA was terrible, I will admit. But it took me the last quarter to actually go to my teachers and say, look, help me do this, help me get to this. I had one of my teachers here actually said, like, what do they need? And I was like, ECU wants all my letter grades to be up 1. So if I had a C, I needed a B. And he was like, just come to me after class, come to me after school, study hall, come here and read and all this stuff. And he actually helped me out. And I always ask myself, if I can ask my coaches and ask my trainers and my strength coaches, what do I need to do to get better? What do I need to do? How long do I need to stay after practice to do what I need to do to get where I need to be? The ultimate goal is the Olympics, obviously. So it's like, if I can do all the stuff behind the scenes on the track, why can't I do the stuff behind the scenes in the books? If I go into the library when I have downtime at night, I get home or I get back to my apartment around 8 o'clock after eating. Instead of laying down after a long day and taking hours to just open up a book, why not just start right away so that way I can get the nice rest that I need? So that's the biggest thing is take books just as serious as you do with your sport.
Excellent, thank you. Very good point. I imagine there's quite a few athletes who get injured along the way, and they don't have athletics straight, and they lose out on a lot. You want to share anything about what you've seen in that regards?
Well, injuries is my best friend. As anybody who knows me, there's always something wrong with me. And at the end of the day, you can only do your sport for so long. So if you're not putting the effort in the books and you graduate and you have, you did, a semi-job with your education, what are you going to do after your sport? What are you going to do after you can't run anymore? What are you going to do if you have, people have injuries who end their careers and end their futures. I have right now a fractured back. I don't know how long that's going to last me, but at what point, what is there for you after your sport? You're more than an athlete. You're going to school, like I said, for your education. You're a student and an athlete. The student comes first. And that's the thing I'm still learning today. And, however long it takes you to figure that out, obviously you're still in school, so it's never too late. But I'm at the point where I'm about to graduate and people ask me, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm on the path to this, but I really don't know. But, so yeah, putting the effort into school, you at least have something to look forward to when you're not doing your sport.
Excellent, thank you. Deron, please. I apologize.
It's always fun going last after everybody said everything. But I guess my whole thing is just a combination of everything that's been said. Is your little decisions, because it's your daily decisions that's ultimately going to determine how you live your life. And those daily decisions, my dad always tells me they're easy to do, and they're also easy not to do. So when you, in terms of track, or in terms of sport, you talk to your coach, and you set a game plan for yourself, and if that involves stretching or rolling out or doing push-ups, doing abs, like in the morning or after practice or something, it's easy to do. It's really easy not to do. And the thing is about those decisions, like, you're not going to go to the Olympics by doing that one set of push-ups, and it's not like you're automatically determined to go to the Olympics or go pro or whatever. And if you do them, you're not going to go pro either. But compounded over time, that's going to make a difference. And for me, I remember my dad would always want me going like these little 30-minute runs, and sometimes I did them, sometimes I didn't. I tell him I did. I think he knew I didn't, but he didn't say anything. And because it was raining outside, so it's easy not to do. But overall, I think that's a life lesson that could be taken away. It's easy to do, easy not to do, those daily decisions. So.
Okay, great. This is another question. Now, okay, we've talked about the grind. We talked about the grind. We talked about the underbelly of sports. Now, that piece, that magical piece that makes us all want to do it, whether it's 100,000 in the stands or getting that gold medal or running that fastest time or scoring 7 touchdowns. What could you share with us? When did you have that memorable moment? And tell the group here quickly on when did you know you were special? That you said, whoa, everybody's right. I actually am pretty damn good. And maybe be great. So what was that memorable moment that you had?
One thing I would say is it doesn't just happen in the spotlights like they were saying, it happens behind the scenes. So you've got to have that moment in your head, run through it visually hundreds of thousands of times before it's gonna come to fruition. So I mean, it's always like cliche, like you're playing basketball and you're dribbling, you're doing the 3, 2, 1 shot, final buzzer for championship. Okay, well, I mean, I'm sure Kyrie did that thousands of times before he got to do that 2 years ago in the finals. So I think I haven't had that moment yet for track, to be honest, but I've had that moment in my head thousands of times of, oh, as soon as you cross the line, they come over and interview the winner. Like, what am I gonna say?
But would you find that as part of your makeup, that you think you haven't had a great moment, but in order to inspire you to go to Clemson, don't you think you've had something out of the 1,000 people you've beat
Yeah.
that you may have forgotten, that you said, I know I'm special,
Yeah.
running that, PR.
Okay. I would like to say that I was willing to do what a lot of people weren't willing to do, and even when it wasn't working, I was willing to stay consistent with it. And then I'd say that was my difference maker in going to Clemson.
I'd say early on, the two situations or two events that led me to think or believe that, to believe in myself and what Savage always said, believing in training. Even though I didn't go to school for football, it was, for y'all that know Mickey Thompson, he breeds athletes, breeds football athletes, and for him to always say, our playmakers, if we're down this many touchdowns, these are who we can give the ball to. My name was always on the list. And I'll never forget, my favorite game, best game I had was against Yorktown. It was in regional semi or something. It was here too. Fans packed everywhere around. And we were down like 3 touchdowns going into halftime. And later on that second half, I scored 3 touchdowns. He gave me the ball, I was going. Like I was the go-to person. We need 20 yards, give it to Deontay. He can outrun everybody. And then same thing with track, Junior Olympics, everybody love, that's the goal. Junior Olympics when you're in high school, when you're in middle school, whatever. You go to AAU Nationals, USATF. And I had gone, and I wasn't the biggest on the field. I'm still not the biggest on the track. When I'm standing next to other hurdlers, they're either 4 inches taller than me, or they're that and a little muscular. And me, I'm neither. I should say, I'm neither of those. So lining up, first round at Junior Olympics, I went through. I ran like 14, what I've always been running. And then we got to finals. I surprised myself and got to finals, and I'm standing in between. Dude who plays football for Alabama now, his name is Tony. He's fastest, he ran Texas Relays that year, was like a 13.4. So I'm looking at him like, all right, he's the real deal. And to me, that pushes me. A lot of people get scared by time, size, and all that stuff, but when I hear 13.4 next to me, I'm like, if he's running fast, I'm running fast. And then on the other side of me was one of North Carolina's fastest hurdlers, Isaiah Moore. He's running 13.6 that year. So I'm like, all right, I should run a 13 easily. So me taking third, and no one knows who I am really. Me taking third in Junior Olympics that year really told myself, like, track is anybody's game. At any given day, Tony was the favorite, but he got cocky and slowed off, or backed off a little bit after 7 hurdles, and Isaiah beat him at the end. And me, I got complacent. I was like, hey, third, great, woo, I'll take the bronze or whatever. But after that, actually proved to myself that I could compete with those who are also top in the nation. And then senior year, what really got me to know that I can actually be great at, especially indoor track, 'cause we don't have indoor track here, is I got into indoor nationals with my outdoor time. They allowed me to convert my time over, and I'm walking around, everybody's like, oh, what's your PR, what's your best, I'm like, I don't do this. So I'm the only one at the line who does not run indoor track, and I got people who do it for a living. What's your best? Oh, 7 this, 7 that, what is yours? This is my first time doing this. Made the finals, took third. So after that, going into college, I still have to prove myself, and I know I can be great because, at the end of the day, we're athletes, we all have mistakes, we all fail. And this past year wasn't the best year, but there was 2 races. The one race that I always put in my head for indoor was indoor conference. I got hurt after the first meet, I missed the entire indoor season and just showed up at conference. Just like indoor nationals. What's your best time? It's slow, because I only had 1 race. And the number 1 dude in our conference, he's from Houston, his best time before was a 7.5. And I was in his prelim heat, and I was beating him. When I say I got out faster than I've ever gotten out, like when I watch the video, I'm like, wow, I have potential to go to indoor nationals at the college level. And even though I fell and I came up short, I know that I can take it a step further, and I know now what I need to do to get to the nationals. I know how to fix what went wrong in that race. So seeing myself fail, honestly, put it in my head that I can compete with the great even at a college level.
Excellent, thank you.
The biggest turnaround moment for me in college was after dying in preseason, we finally got to the season, the main part that everyone likes, track meets. It was my conference meet, and of course freshman year, nervous, like all these people are just so good. And the girl beat me. I was like, man, she's so good. I got 4th or 5th. I was so upset. I was like, ugh, 4th or 5th, what is that? And I looked at my coach and I was like, I'm gonna beat her for outdoor season. He was like, you are? I said, yes, I'm going to beat her. So came outdoor season, got out there. I'm in 3rd place. I got to like my 5th triple jump. My teammates were on the sidelines cheering me on. And like they did the clap. I hate the clap. Every jump, I hate the clap with a passion. I hate when like jumpers do it every jump. Clemson does it. It's so annoying. Every jump, Clemson does the jump, like the jump clap, and it's like so annoying. So they did the clap, and I looked at them and I was like, please stop, like you're embarrassing me. And I got a PR. I got into the 40s finally, and I beat her. And I looked at my coach and I was like, yeah, I told you so. And that was my turnaround moment for like track and field. And then I think I went to Junior Olympics. I don't really know what it was called because I was still new to the sport, so I was like, I didn't really know what everything was called. So I got there, and if you guys don't know, I was training at Coastal. It was Timothy Balt. He's at Virginia Tech now. He was our coach, and he wasn't very confident. And you could tell when a coach is not confident in you. So we went there, and then I was like 18th or something. And then I got 3rd. I was like, oh wow, I got 3rd, yeah. And then he was excited, he was like, good job. And I looked at him and I was like, you was not confident first, but now you're in my face. But I was like, all right. But yeah, that was my turnaround moment.
Excellent, thank you.
I would say my turnaround moment really wasn't a moment. It was really just over time as I grew up within high school. Obviously, like I said, I wasn't getting looks early on. This kind of contradicts what Devon said, but just having that overall confidence in yourself to feel that you're the best or feel that you are great at what you're doing. That confidence just grew within me during my junior year and senior year when I actually had a very explosive year and started to get looks from colleges. So that confidence in turn just grew in college, and you're seeing how you're flying past people, and the work ethic that you know you have to put in order to stay on the top just allows you to have confidence to feel like you are the best. And I feel like in sports you kind of need to have that type of passion or look upon yourself in order to overcome, the person that's behind you or in front of you.
For me, what they were always called, when looking back, were defining moments that you found a new sense of belief in yourself. In college, I had this one coach that used to get on my case all the time. He said I had a governor's complex. And I'm like, okay, whatever, okay. What a governor is, it's the little block that's on a golf cart that prevents it from going 55 miles per hour. It keeps you right at 25 miles per hour. And he said I never wanted to move this block because I never wanted to push myself to that next level of whatever it is that I was trying to do at that time. So looking back on my defining moments, I would say I had probably 5 from the time I was 10 years old through 22 that I found a new governor, if you will, where I found I had a new speed, to keep the metaphor going, a new speed of that I was capable of pushing myself to. I mean, I can go through them super quick. When I first went to O'Connell with Walu, the basketball team there is, top 5 in the country, top 5 easily. I tried out for that team. I think I was on the J team in terms of the tryout numbers. And A and B were scholarship guys already. So that was 10 guys already made the team. I was on J. I think I scored 12 baskets on their A and B team. Next thing I know, I find myself on the team. Next thing I know, I find myself in the starting 5. Next thing I know, I'm playing DeMatha, and when I take water breaks, their best player takes a water break because he's covering me. So I find a new sense of belief in myself that then transcends me to the next level. Speeding up all the way through college, my junior year, I had 2 games left in the season. We were trying to turn the program, and my dad told me, he's like, why don't you try to be, all conference this year? And I was like, all conference? I'm just trying to win a game. So next thing I know, I listen. I'm very stubborn as an athlete. The last 2 games, I scored 6 touchdowns, had 400 yards. Next thing I know, not only was I all conference, I was All-American, academic All-American, projected draft pick. I didn't even think I was even going to make MVP of my team, let alone be on a national spotlight. So from my perspective, the defining moments are ones where you look introspectively into yourself and find a new level that you're capable of performing.
So for me, as far as football, it was a lot later. Basketball, it was early. Let me just be honest, I was nice. On that court, and I knew it too. Like when I was like 12, we played national. We played against Kevin Durant and them. And my team, the team I got on late because I used to play for a team out here. Then I moved to a team that had much better players, a lot of D1 guys that wouldn't play D1 basketball, and they never beat KD's team, the PG Jaguars. They lost every time they played them. I was on the team. We beat KD's team in nationals by 20 plus points. KD walked off the court crying. That's my thing right there. I'll never forget that. But now for me in football, it was my redshirt sophomore year of college. My redshirt freshman year, I thought I should have played a lot more than I did. Again, I thought I was better than what I actually was, I guess. But the following year, I started, and after the first couple of games, it was known I was the guy. I was the go-to guy. Whenever we needed a big play, we get me the ball. And as the season went on, we played against the Clemsons, Miami, all up. I knew I was the guy because they were putting their #1 receiver. I'm not sure if any of you guys know, but Brandon Harris, he was like a 2nd-round pick out of the U. We played them. They played man-to-man. They felt like they had better DBs than we had receivers. Anywhere I went on the field, he was following me. And that game, I had a career high in receptions, receiving yards, and everything else. And throughout that year, every team we played, like I said, they put their best cornerback on me, their best DB. And once that season ended, I actually ended up being 2nd in the conference in receptions per game. I was all conference and everything. So for me, my redshirt sophomore year of college was a defining moment, and maybe finally at that point is when I was like, all right, actually maybe I am pretty good, then I can do this. So that's when it hit me in football.
Excellent. Thank you all so much for sharing. Defining moments are such a big thing because it's something you can always look back on to pull on your inner strength and get you through whatever you're going through at the moment. Now, I'd like to again go to you. You have these amazing college athletes here, something you may be aspiring to. Do you have a burning question that you'd love to ask? Yes. Oh, and can you take the mic?
First, I'd like to applaud all of you for your tremendous stories today and the different walks of life, to get to the student level. All of you have talked a lot about athletics and what you've done on the field or on the court. What I'd like for you to share with some of the students here is, how was it doing the two-a-days and managing academics when you're traveling on the road? So I'd like you to take it to the academic classroom perspective.
You want everybody to go or anybody? Just
Academic-wise, I had a fabulous academic advisor, sports academic advisor. She was on it. Sam, she knew if you didn't go to class, if you had a C in a class, she was on it. Like, I'll be in study hall asleep. She'll tap me on the shoulder like, oh, why didn't you go to class? And I was like, how do you know that? But as far as managing it, it's hard. I started at 2:30, that's when my practice was. Between study hall, lift, and practice, I didn't end to 9 o'clock, sometimes 9:30. That's when my days ended. And it's just a balance. I can tell you my experience, but they have to experience it themselves. They have to know themselves, the structure of how they can do it. If you know you're not a morning person, don't schedule an 8 o'clock class, because you will not go, or you will go late. I got scheduled at 8 o'clock. I was there at 8:15, 8:20 every day, and my teacher knew when I was walking through the door, because I just could not handle waking up from a long day, from studying. The best advice I can really give you is be friends with your academic advisor. They are, if you're failing a class or you're not doing it in the class, they are going to vouch for you to boost you up. Like, I had a girl on my team, she had a 1.5 her freshman year, and the academic advisor helped her to be eligible. So, yeah, so it's based on, I don't know how their experience was, but my academic advisor was my best friend.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, be the bestest friend you can be with your advisor. When I tell you, like I said, I'm still struggling in school, but he or she will have your back no matter what. Especially with track, you train from August, September, or whatever, like with your team until December, January, and then once the season starts, you're missing 2 or 3 classes a week. Like, especially conference is a half a week thing. So if we leave Wednesday, you go to class Monday, Tuesday, you're missing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You might miss Monday because of travel day. And so on top of being best friends with your advisor or whoever, your coordinator, best friends with your professor, get acquainted. First few days of class, just shake their hand. Hi, I'm so-and-so. I do this sport or whatever. I miss, give them your schedule. And then every week leading up to that meet, you let them know, hey, I'm missing class. Hey, I won't be there for the test. When can I remake the test? But I don't know why, but it seems there's a trend on our team that everybody's best semester is in season. Yes.
Oh wow, it was our worst season was spring. From I guess all the traveling, everyone's grades just slanted over. The best advice I can give, I don't know, I don't know about like the traveling and teachers will tell you they do not like athletes. They do not. I had about 4 professors said it every day, I do not like athletes. They just think they're special. And I'm just like, dude, I'm just in your class, just trying to chill. No one needs to know I'm an athlete. But as far as that, your academic advisor, set your schedule. Hard classes in the fall, football is a little different. Hard classes in the fall with track and field, easy classes in the spring.
We got some biology majors on there, But when you travel, I mean, that's the thing. So you're spending hours on the bus, you're at the airport, you know, whatever, you got your hotel, you know, hopefully you have good Wi-Fi at the hotel, but always bring your school stuff, because you can always be doing something. Just like how you always do stuff behind the scenes, you know, in your sport, you can always be doing extra studying or, you know, extra homework, getting ahead of schedule. That's the biggest thing. That's probably why a lot of people do well, is because you get your syllabus in advance, you have every date for all your tests, all your quizzes, when homework to do. And if you're lucky, your professor will put stuff online ahead of schedule. You might get that one professor that does it weekly, so you don't get the, you know, get ahead of the schedule. But biggest advice is to whenever you think you have free time, take that time to go over something. Because be like me, I don't do that. My free time is my free time. I lay down, play some Xbox, do something. But yeah, just always take your free time and choose what you want to do with your free time wisely.
And make friends with the people in your class. They will help you out, give you the notes and everything, so.
I'll speak to something a little different than the academics. You know, I would say academics came naturally to me on, you know, studying and doing well in school. Going to Cornell, it was a different environment. You know, there weren't that many people in the stands at our football games. You know, they're over at the hackathon watching the programmers do something. You know, they're over at the Shark Tank event watching the entrepreneurs try to pitch for $5 million to try to get their startup off the ground. So having that level of competition, thinking about careers earlier than I have ever imagined. You know, we're talking about academics in, you know, as your freshman and sophomore in college. You know, as an athlete, just I was talking about time earlier, you're dedicating 40, 50, 60 hours a week to something that I no longer do, you know? So I have no hard skills that I learned in college to compete with somebody that's an academic student that is doing the same amount of hours towards a skill that's gonna be utilized the rest of their life. So not only do I have to work that much harder now that my sports life is over, I have to try to catch up, just like all those people that I was beating out in one-on-ones, playing basketball, running track. You know, that was easy for me. You know, now I'm in their world. You know, sports is over. I can't put a football helmet on. You know, I have to enter theirs. So when you're in college, start thinking about the time that they're spending while you're in the weight room. Start thinking about the time that they're spending on learning engineering, on learning business, on learning whatever it is that's going to set them apart at the next level when, you know, when your time to hang up the cleats is over.
I can just piggyback off of that just because of what Shane was describing is pretty much exactly how my college career was in terms of athletics and academics. Being able to now pretty much, I almost look at it as a competition the same way I did in terms of athletics on the field. The way I'm competing with guys that were in college and, you know, did have internships coming out of school or during school, and obviously I didn't have those, so I'm playing catch up. But being able to compete in that way of, hey, I'm still catching up to you guys even though I didn't put this much work ethic in school. Obviously I'm not advising that, but just to understand in terms of the time, the work ethic you need to put into whatever you're trying to get out of in terms of life, period.
Great, thank you. So don't neglect your academics. Make friends with the people who can actually get you to where you want to be in your academics, whether it's your classmates, your professors, or your advisors, and study whenever you can. Great advice. And we have one more question.
Again, to piggyback back there, thank you guys for coming and taking time out of your days. And I know it's an early morning, you probably, like a lot of us, rather be maybe home in bed. But I have sort of a two-part question, and it deals with the culture shock of going from high school athletics to college athletics, because it's really not the same. It's a whole different attitude, a whole different atmosphere. From a football standpoint, if you're a very good high school football team, you might have 10, 11 really good guys on that team. You get to college, like Walu says, everybody's good. Everybody's better than you. Everybody was all something. How do you deal with that culture shock going in and from track specifically. In high school, if you're state champion, if you're all conference, if you're all region, if you're all state, if you're all American, then you're a big deal in your school, just like the other sports that might get a few more people in the stands watching us. But in track, you get to college, and it's not on that same level. And it's kind of a culture shock. You get there, you can be as good as you can be All-American, but you're not a big deal on campus as much as you are if you're that successful in high school. How do you deal internally with that kind of a culture change?
It's a great question. But for me, it was tough. Going in, like I said, I came here, the premier school in the county for sure, one of the premier in the state. I was first team All-State. I was everything. I went to college. I played running back in high school as well. I went to college. I switched to receiver. To be honest, I couldn't catch that well. When I was in high school, they just handed me the ball and I just outran everybody. I couldn't do that in college. You had defensive ends, linebackers, everything that was just as fast, if not faster. So getting there, being a small fish in a big pond, it was tough. For me, I was like, I just want to play football. Like, I don't care about this school. Like, I want to go to the league. My mindset was just not where it should have been. Everything for me was just going to the league, because that's what's important. Just growing up, that's just what it was for me. That was just my mindset. Like, I'm going to make it in sports, whatever it is. So when I went to school, redshirted my freshman year, got no love from anybody. Like, it was just like, and here's the thing, in college, and even here, Coach Thompson says this all the time, and I heard it first in college, we want you, but we don't need you. So if you're not holding your end of the bargain, if you're not bringing something to the team, it's gonna be tough. So even though for me, it was a big culture shock, and I was like, man, like, this is tough, and like, I was down, like, I still had to come. You have to come and like, at least bring something. You have to feel like you want to be there, you have to be something. But for me, it was tough. Like, I wanted to transfer my freshman year. I was like, I need to leave. Like, I can't be here. I don't like this school. I wanted to go to JVU. I just wanted to go to a smaller school because it was like, this is too much for me. But I mean, the older you get, football at least, I can speak in football, I don't know about track, because your body just isn't mature enough for most people when you come from high school to college to make that transition and just play right away. You're playing against some pretty much men who are 21, 22, some people 23 years old, you're 18, and just physically your body isn't developed. So going out there every day and just knowing that I'm not the guy, I'm not the man, and really, if I was to go home, they would just be like, whatever, next man up. It was tough for me, so it's definitely a big time culture shock, and like I said earlier, you're not as good as you think you are, so my best advice would just work hard at whatever it is. Stay confident but not cocky, especially coming in. Yeah, no teams, especially football, you don't want to go in there talking and thinking that you're this and you're that, because somebody's going to give you humble pie real quick. But just go in there with the confidence, acquire confidence that you can do it, but you don't have to brag and be like, brag and boast or be loud about what you feel like you can do, what you believe in you can do. But definitely believe in yourself and think that you can do it.
Great, thank you.
I wasn't cocky or anything in high school or college, but my freshman year, the culture shock was really, I walked on the track. Of course, we had Timothy Ball, he's at Virginia Tech. He was like, you're running a mile. I looked at him like, a mile? I haven't ran further than like 60 meters. So I was like, a mile out there, 97 degree heat, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so you're in the dead sun. And of course, sweat and tears, and I was just like, gosh, I don't know if I'm made for this. So it's progressed on. He has a habit of course most coaches do, they have their favorites and they don't really notice the ones who do work hard and try to be better. They just know the ones that are good and who's gonna produce for the team. I know for track and field, like if you're not producing, they don't really care about you or anything at all. So it was just like, and I'm looking at him like, I know what I'm capable of, but I don't know what I'm capable of. And I wanted him more to acknowledge that I am capable of producing for this team. So as time progressed on, he finally started to realize, oh, she can actually help out the team in conference. For track and field, it's all about conference. If you can perform, we're throwing you in the event to get the points doing the conference team. So when he started to realize that I started doing well in meets, that's when he was like, oh, Amir, so are you able to do long jump? Can you do this? And I'm looking at him like, yeah, I am, but all of a sudden, I don't like how you're rolling with, I don't know, you wanted to transfer, I wanted to quit, but I kept going. But culture shock, it's politics. Sports is politics, it's a business. If you're not doing well, they'll boot you. It's all about how well you can perform. So you need that mental aspect of, I can push through this.
I'd say the biggest culture shock for me is, like in high school, if you come late to practice, if you do a half job in practice or whatever, like you can still get by. Because if you're the best in the state, you can go out there and get 50% in practice and still go win states. In college, if you get 50% at anything, you will be exposed. Like your time is everything. Like we have people all the time, oh, what's your fastest time? They'll tell you something, and I'm like, let me go to Milestad. I mean, search your name up, search your times, and know that you're lying by 3 seconds. And so I said the biggest culture shock for me was, when you're late to practice, you will pay. In high school, yeah, they might send you home or whatever, here, jump in, do 2 warm laps, just float in or whatever. I remember first day of practice freshman year, I slept through my alarm. I called my coach, he didn't pick up, called the head coach, and he was like, where are you? I was like, I'm in bed, I just overslept, whatever. I'm 15 minutes late, mind you. And he was like, all right, better hurry up. And our dorm from the track is probably the equivalent to maybe 800, 1,200 meters or whatever. So I booked it. I ran as fast as I can to practice. It's raining. I showed up, jumped in. He was like, better hurry up, dropped my backpack, jumped in. It's raining. We're going across doing drills. And then we went into the softball batting cage, and he was like, you got 2 stadiums for everybody that's here. There's 11 people. So I had to do 22 stadiums after weights, and the first day of weights was squats and power cleans. Mind you, I did not do those in high school, so my legs were shaking before I even got to the stadiums. And I had three older guys up there. I think a couple freshmen were there, just to support me. And it took me probably 45 minutes to do 22. Because after 9, my calves started cramping up. They were over here stretching my calves halfway up the stadium, running them with me and all that stuff. And at that point, I was like, they don't play. Like they don't play in college. Like it's a business. If you don't do well, you're gone. Next man up. If you want to take off a week of practice and just not do, you're replaced on the relay team. Like it's that simple. In high school, if you're the best, they don't care if you suck or not. You're going to be on the relay. But in college, yeah, they don't play. It's either you or the next man behind you, and the person behind you is just as good as you. So.
To build off what Deontay is saying, and I'm going to speak to the athletes that are in here currently right now, is ask yourself, would you be here right now if your parents didn't say this was a good idea? And, to that point, when you get to college, you have no one telling you that this is a good idea. You have to tell yourself, I need to be here on time. I need to make myself a better meal than ramen noodles. I need to go study. And if you don't, the one thing you will find in college is no one cares. You can sit there and sleep, and you can get away with it. You can skip your class, you get away with it, and you'll be fine. But then that's when you realize that you're academically ineligible. That's when you realize that there's a guy that just gained 30 pounds, and you only gained 5, or lost weight. You are accountable for yourself in college, and you need to have that inner voice that then tells you, you know what, I'm gonna wake up today, I'm gonna go to Stonebridge, I'm gonna listen to some athletes, some has-beens, and listen to them, and actually listen to them. And so that's what you gotta start telling yourself, because, I was sitting in those seats, I told myself, I'm a little different, they don't get me, or, I'm already nice on the basketball courts, I don't need this, Look how many spaces that are not filled in this room right now. You're here, you took the right step. Now, when you get to college, these are gonna be filled with athletes that are equally or better than you. So you're gonna have to do the intangible things. Doing the stuff on the field, that comes natural to all of us. We know we're giving you some little horror stories and stuff like that, but, running, playing football, yeah, I can catch a ball anytime I want. Am I going to be there on time? You know, am I going to choose the right thing? That's what college is about. I have so many guys that are better than me, but choosing the right things, and they didn't, I found myself on a higher stage than they did. That's plain and simple what it came down to for me.
Just to go off of what he said, like, y'all are hearing what we're saying, but listen and apply it. Like, that, like, for a lot of times, especially with, like, the kids growing up and stuff, like, your parents tell you one thing, you're like, whatever, they don't know, you're old, it's different now. It's not different at all. They're giving you good advice, and it's up to you to apply that advice to your life and to do what they're saying and to do what we're saying. Like, I'm not up here just for the sake of talking. I wanted to do this to help other people. Like, I'm done. Like you said, we has-beens up here. Like, if there's nothing that, I'm not about to go put on a football helmet again, ever again in life. Like, never. I would never put on the pads and go play football again. But I want you all to understand where we have been and where we can help you to where you want to go. So don't just hear what we're saying, but listen and apply what we're saying to your own lives.
Excellent, thank you so much. And now what I'd like to do is sort of change gears a little bit. And, you know, those of us sitting on this side of the aisle are a little bit older than you all on that side of the aisle. So, you know, Coach Savage, why don't we start with you? What's your one super duper pro tip to leave everyone with? This has got to be just the most important thing that ever comes out of your mouth, right?
No pressure. The most important thing, I think they embodied the whole spirit, and that is basically being special. You know, you try to keep it basic. And everyone up here, and you guys out there, is one, own it, and show up. And as you keep owning it and show up, you get progress. And the next thing, as you said, retrospectively, you'll look back, just like with swimming to an island or something like that. You'll be amazed with your story and how far you've come. That's really it.
Excellent. Thank you, Coach. And Misty, how about for you? An awesome, incredible piece of advice for the young people out there.
We've been talking a lot about doing the things that other people aren't doing to set yourself apart. And in life, you have to figure out what you want and what it is that you really want. This one thing in the world that you don't think you could be happy if you didn't have that, if you weren't doing that. And then you have to do the things that others won't so you can have the things that others don't. Because when it comes down to it, like they said, as you get older, as you move into these sports, as you move into professions, everyone you're playing with has been practicing for that. So maybe in your high school, you were the best at it. But when you get out into the real world, there are going to be people who have been doing it longer and working hard at it. So you've got to decide, what is it that you really want, that you're willing to make those sacrifices for, and do that. And what you'll end up with is a life beyond what most people will ever be able to imagine.
Awesome, thank you, Misty. And I will leave you with a piece of advice from a friend of mine, Mr. Mark McCoy, who won the Olympics in the hurdles back in the day as a Canadian. And Mark's advice comes after he shows this film clip of him winning the gold medal in his third attempt at the Olympics, in his third Olympics. And as the camera cuts to the stands, what you notice immediately is that the fans are just stunned, right? No one is expecting a Canadian to win, right? Especially in anything track and field related. But more importantly, it takes them like a good, like almost a minute for the Canadians to even realize that they had won. And what Mark talks about is in his training, what shifted him into actually winning the Olympics is he shifted who he trained with, and he shifted the people that he hung around with, because he noticed that Canadians only cared about winning in hockey, curling, other things, but when it came to track and field, they didn't have that culture. So he shifted where he trained to be with people that had a culture of winning. people that expected to win, so that he all of a sudden found himself performing at that higher level. So my advice to you is directly from Mark McCoy, is that as a gold medalist, what he discovered is in life, there's no shortage of people who say you can't do it, who are used to losing and accept that as their fate. And on behalf of Mark, I invite you to surround yourself with people who believe that you're a winner and believe that they are winners, and so you can be in that culture of success. So on behalf of my awesome facilitators here and these amazing students and our audience, please give yourselves a huge round of applause for being here today. Okay, so Nick's going to make some quick announcements on what's going to happen next.
Well, I know definitely everyone wants a little break here. And once again, thank these guys for coming. Like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to take a break, and definitely we're going to get outside. Outside is going to be the second half. So try to be patient here since we're doing a shoot. And we're going to get those others, we're going to shorten up the other shoots, right? But we're going to take care of recruiting, which was a big piece, and the specialties. And then we'll move outside and let the athletes start getting busy. Sound good? All right, we need some food too, don't we? I think we can get some food now.
Okay.
All right.
So it's 12:49, you're going to resume, have everyone back at what time? Okay.
How many people had food with them? That's it?
Do you have enough food for everyone?
So we'll pick up an order, because you gotta eat before we train. So I'll take care of the food, and we'll get something for Boston or something for us, pizza. Sound good?
All right. Enjoy your break. Thank you.